Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear students, welcome back to NPTEL online course on logistics and supply chain management. So now we'll start discussion on supply chain strategy, right? We'll see what are the different factors or maybe impellers we can say which are forcing our supply chain to behave in that way so that they can survive for a longer period of time. There is as such no longer period, but yes, because daily the scenario is changing, so they have to keep on changing they need to keep on revising their capabilities as well. So this is a part of your supply chain strategy, how you are coming up with new tools, and then maybe how you are tracking your customers in that way, how you are tracking their behavior so that you can develop that type of particular strategy, right? So this week we will talk about developing the supply chain strategy, right? And here is the basic first introductory part. We'll talk about what are the supply chain impellers. In the last week we talked about supply chain drivers, right? What are main those logistics and cross functional drivers, how we can change those drivers so that the overall efficiency and responsiveness of the supply chain can be managed. In this particular session we will talk about what are the impellers, those forces which are forcing us to change the drivers, to manipulate those drivers here and there in terms of coming up with the basket of products and services, right? And then we will talk about the value chain as well in this particular session, right? We will talk about some specific success parameters when we will talk about supply chain success, and we will end up with the case study, right? So already we discussed about supply chain drivers. So other than that, what are those forces and factors we need to consider, and these forces factors are known as impellers of supply chain, right? In that way, how they are putting extra pressure on the supply chain, that this is not now that era where you can stretch a customer, or maybe you can do something illegal, unethical, and then customer is not aware about those things, right? So because customer is now full of information, even if you talk about a very simple example, if you are keeping little higher price, maybe 1%, 2% with your competitors in the market, at the same moment they can find out, okay, the price is something else, he is offering something else. So then that way that customer will never turn back to you, right? So these are some of the forces, because this transparency has been maintained throughout the supply chain. This transparency is obviously very, very important when you are manufacturer, you are services provider, you are those product provider, you are selling the product. But this transparency is equally spread along that network for the customer as well. If you, along with other 30 players in the market operating with the same product or services, obviously they have access to information of all those 30 players, right? So then you need to pick your pricing strategy very carefully, you need to pick your delivery strategy, your feature you are offering, the quality you are offering, the variety you are offering, so that in the end you can convince the customer that you should visit our store and then you should make the purchase decisions. So other than what drivers we discussed, obviously facility, inventory, transportation, information system, sourcing, pricing, these drivers are there, but these drivers we are forced to change these drivers, enhance these drivers depending upon those impellers, right? What are those forces coming from the market? We need to change these drivers accordingly, and then we will be coming up with the competitive strategy as well as your supply chain strategy. Having said that, competitive strategy means for the whole organization, the competitive strategy may be how you can get the maximum customer potential, right? Maybe to increase your customer group, right? from maybe right now you are having only 10% share, you want to increase to 25%, right? How you can do that? And then you know that you are targeting those middle class families or lower class families, so then your pricing is very, very important. Efficiency in supply chain is very, very important. So that means because your overall vision is to capture that, mission is to capture that 25% of the market based on efficiency, cost parameter, then your supply chain strategy should be in synchronization with your overall strategy, competitive strategy. So if you go through literature, we have identified, initially we identified 3 main impellers, and in that empowered customer is the first one. Like I talked about, the knowledge the customer is having right now, and how he is getting the knowledge because of the access to information. Simple example, if you want to book air ticket, right? So then you have all those options, maybe Make My Trip is there, Go Vivo is there, maybe IRCTC is there, maybe the individual website of that airlines is there, right? So all these platforms are there. Not only now what these platform will do, Indigo will not do that, because Indigo will give the information. This you can consider at the first level. Indigo is at first level, in that way providing the services. You will get all the related information of the Indigo flights going from one point to the other point where you are searching, right? And prices of all the points, how many stoppage are there, timing, and all that information you will get, right? Second level, you can include these players. Now what these second level players are doing, you will search flight from Calcutta to Delhi, it will give you all the possible combinations, mix up of maybe different players, individual players, pricing, all those things, routes and how many stoppage, and all those things will be highlighted on the website, and then you can compare within no time, and that way you are as empowered customer. Now this is not the end. The next third level, you include kind of Ixigo player. Now what Ixigo is doing, Ixigo is putting all these platform at one platform, right? So what is happening, sometime I am confused that whether I'll get this ticket cheaper on Make My Trip or Go Vivo or IRCTC or some other platform, right? So then you will check in Make My Trip, then Go Vivo, then make IRCTC. So this will consume time. I want immediate solution. You go to Ixigo, Ixigo will give you from Calcutta to Delhi all the possible flights and prices, what is the best price in MMT, what is the best price in Go Vivo, IRCTC in for particular flight, right? So this is how the customer is so empowered. So any offline retailer cannot say that I'm charging 3,000 and you are getting that product through online on 2,500, right? So then maybe offline retailer can negotiate with you as per the price, somewhere maybe 200 or 300 rupees, but then in the end he'll say this point that maybe online it will take time. So then responsive supply chain, we are saying that within same day delivery, within 2 days delivery, if that product is not that much urgent, we can wait for 2 days, we can save 500 bucks. What is there? So in that way the customer is more empowered, right? He is having access to whole information, and thanks to the IT tools we are having. Now this is one example I quoted for customer. Let's take now the producer perspective, the manufacturer, the services provider. We have material resource planning, enterprise resource planning, vendor managed inventory, total asset visibility. These kind of softwares are there, right? In the warehouse, we have warehouse management softwares. During transportation, we have transportation management softwares, finding the best route, optimum route in terms of distance, in terms of what load you are carrying, in terms of infrastructure, road condition, everything, weather condition you are getting. MRP, material resource planning, ERP, enterprise resource planning, how many different raw material required, what should be the batch size of each material, when you should place order with the vendors, and out of 3 vendors, A vendor will get this much order, B will get this much. All this information thanks to all IT tools, they are collecting the information. The future of supply chain, we talked about in last to last session, I think, where we talked about supply chain control towers. All these parameters can be tapped there, and if you are taking decision related to sourcing, related to procurement, regular procurement, okay, 5 listed vendors are there for this particular component. Let us check the vendor rating of each vendor. So related to price, this third vendor is most efficient. Related to delivery, first is most quick in making delivery. Related to quality, fifth one is the high reliable in terms of quality. Quickly you are getting the information, and then you can place the orders. The third impeller of supply chain is globalization. Now because this we cannot say that here this is working in local market and it is not working in foreign market. If these days if someone is coming that with the credit card option to you and it is saying that only it will work in India, hardly I think anyone will be interested in that. How you can provide solutions overseas when we are visiting, because the frequency of traveling is also now increasing day by day, right? And globalization, it's not only that local Indian market or any other Asian market, right? So wherever you are getting the best quality, best quantity, best price, you should outsource. And then within no time, we, thanks to our that infrastructure, fastest infrastructure, and that way channelized supply chains, distribution network, that we are getting delivery in no time. So then globalization is third major impeller, which is forcing you to be always responsive, cost efficient. You cannot say that this we are manufacturing in India, this is more cost carrying, why don't you ship to the some other location? We are, you can reduce that cost, you can reduce the raw material cost, labor cost, the location where you are spending your you are planning your facilities, that cost you can reduce, right? So that globalization is another major impeller other than these two, because the research now is more on how we can go for sustainability, how we can enhance the integration and collaboration among those players. So that way it is also working as one of the impeller. Now sustainability, see, because every other day in news also, because this time is now summer season is going on, so yesterday there was news 53-degree temperature in Delhi, first time, right? So that means then maybe a couple of days we will talk about the environmental change, and then how things are pollution, and we'll talk about having debates in the media, and all those things will be there. Then in that way customer is also getting information. At least this is the stage where we are getting information. We somewhere we in our unconscious mind we are thinking about, yes, we should make some decision, we should take some steps to go sustainable, go green, we should reduce the wastage. And then when we are going in the office, we are keeping all the lights on, AC always on, and all those things are happening, and then we are actually not trying to, or we are not relating what we are doing in our day routine life. But very soon the time will come when you will be forced to, you will force yourself only that you have to be sustainable, when it will be unbearable for everyone, right? So then sustainability, talking about supply chains, we have to stretch in that way. Green logistics, we talked about green supply, recycling, reuse, remanufacturing, refurbishment of the products, how we can ensure, how we can extend the life of the product so that waste should not be generated, how we can add value to the after the end use of the product, right? So that sustainability measure is important. Collaboration and integration is another thing, that it's not that in isolation you are working and you are collaborating with your suppliers and then you are there and maybe distributor is there. You have to include the customer also in your manufacturing process. That concept is also now gone, that customer are part of only services processes. Manufacturing also we need to record the customer requirement, their specification, like Dell is doing for years together, right? They are recording their requirement, their specification, and then they are configuring the laptop or PCs, whatever your requirements are, as per that. So in that way it can happen only when you have strong partnership and relationship, not only with suppliers, with storage houses, with manufacturing houses, with your distribution network, with your warehouses, distribution fulfillment centers, transportation agencies, with customers, with end consumers, right, from where the information is being generated and being circulated. So these 5 major impellers of supply chains are there, which will help you to design your supply chain. So these 2 video link I have given you. First one is on highlighting the bullwhip effect of COVID-19 pandemic. You can just go through this video, and here it has been highlighted that how during COVID-19 we realized that maybe suddenly there will be, because shutdown was happening, maybe tomorrow will not get the grocery items. How will survive? Tomorrow will not get all the kitchen items, right? So then we started stocking the items, right? We started purchasing more and more than what we are consuming, right? So that is known as panic buying. So this video is on that, right? How it can, see, now there is again the same population is there. Earlier they were, let's say they were giving demand for 500 units, now suddenly 1500 units it is coming, right? So that means still the demand is same, but they, because of the panic buying, they started purchasing more, right? So this video is on that. Another case of Amazon giving customer what they want. You can see just that this is highlighting all the impellers, how and what customers are, time to time they are, it's not that for one product I will say tomorrow I need that product. For other product maybe I will say I can wait for 5 days. So Amazon need to design the services as per that. They need to operate their network, distribution network as per that, right? Maybe today I am cost efficient because I can afford 10 days delivery, but tomorrow I want same day delivery of one product, so then I am ready to pay higher. So that these 2 videos you can just go through. So there are some concepts, maybe we discussed a little bit about that, or maybe on that during this last 5-6 weeks journey. So just quickly we'll go through if we missed some points of supply chain system concept. So this is holistic approach and interconnected system, integrated system, right? So that means it's not supply chain for one manufacturer. It's not supply chain of the raw material supplier. It's one complete supply. Let us take the example like the bullwhip effect we were talking about, right? How the thing at one end is happening, and it is how it is reaching to the other end of the supply chain, right? So because it is system concept, we need to avoid this bullwhip effect, overlap in the information we are sharing, right? So you need to recognize the changes or disruptions whatever are happening at one end, and because these changes or disruptions will have ripple effect. How? Like I told you, during COVID-19 we suddenly started realizing maybe tomorrow there will be shortage of the grocery item. Not only grocery item, let's say there was sudden increase in using the hand gloves, using the masks, sanitizers, and mask price earlier maybe 20-25 rupees, now it was coming with 100 rupees cost, right? So because there was increase in the disruption happened in that supply chain, right? And demand, because now every other person is using the mask. Earlier we were using rarely, or when we were traveling, or when we are usually visiting the hospital, then we used to wear, right? But now you after COVID-19, during that particular period of 2 years especially, you see if you are traveling through air, right, how many PPE kit you were bearing, face shield, face mask, gloves, all those things, right? So then this disruption at one end happened, so then raw material supply interrupted, right? Shortage of raw material supply, so ripple effect is there. So this is total system concept we need to understand, right? Total cost concept, right? This is one system concept. So cost is also the total supply chain cost, right? If I'm saying that total supply chain cost is $500 from starting to end, that means it's not only the manufacturer is bearing. Some part supplier who is supplying the product is bearing, the suppliers of supplier some part is bearing, manufacturer is bearing, then the distributor who is distributing to 500 retailer, he is bearing some cost. So this is total supply chain cost. And in the end, if I'm saying the profit by selling one unit is $50, this profit is complete supply chain profit, right? It will be shared throughout the supply chain. Suppliers or supplier will get some margin, suppliers will get margin, manufacturer will get margin, warehouse keeping, all those people will get margin, transportation agencies will get margin, and your retail distribution who is keeping your inventory will get in the end some margin out of this $50, right? So total cost concept means total this will be, so that means cost, procurement cost will be there, production, transportation, inventory, storage, distribution, starting to end. So complete supply chain cost will be there. Now in that we need to make the trade-off. So whenever we are saying, we have seen we are making trade-off when we designed our supply chain drivers in terms of efficiency and responsiveness, right? So then we saw that if we are spending more on keeping inventory, we are more responsive, right? Because quickly customer is coming, we are meeting the demand. But at the same time, we saw that the price of keeping, the cost of keeping that inventory was increasing. So efficiency is compromised, right? So in supply chain, we are making trade-offs. Like that, we are having so many different trade-offs, cost and quality. So Amazon divided different customer segments, like I quoted the example of P&G. So for detergent, so maybe for Surf Excel is for a middle class family, then Nirma is for lower class, as per the pricing I am saying, right? So they have identified different customer groups, accordingly they have designed the product, right? Pricing is done, but then yes, cost and quality, cost is lesser, quality will be compromised somewhere, right? Cost and speed, Amazon, if you want 1 day delivery, they will charge you $25, right? If you want 5-6 days delivery, maybe they will charge $5, right? So then if you want standard delivery, maybe 10 to 15 days, then there will be no charge, right? So that means cost and delivery, if you will reduce the cost, obviously they will ship when they are getting the economies of scale, right? So that way responsiveness is compromised. Inventory level and customer responsiveness, because I am keeping that much inventory which I can meet maybe the daily demand or maybe the first half of the next day. So suddenly if there is more demand, right, so then that means, so I will say no, I will be stock out. So that means the responsiveness is compromised, but I want to save in inventory, right? So that I can do. So this requires decision makers to carefully evaluate the implication of different choices. So on one hand, maybe you can somewhere you can say we can afford to be sometimes stock out, but on other hand you can say that yes, we need to ensure the supply of the product, we need to keep that safety stock, seasonal stock. If there is spike in the season, we need to meet that, because if today we will say no to the customer, next day that customer will not come back, right? Another is bullwhip effect, we have discussed this. Obviously information delay, forecast inaccuracies and order batching, right? So due to these are some of the factors where the bullwhip effect is observed. Order batching means, let's say the example we talked about, that our retailer placed order for 50 units, then manufacturer started producing for 75 units, because manufacturer knows that for 50 units again will change over to some other product. So changeover will take time. Let us produce maybe 75 or 100 items and then we'll change over to the next model. So if we'll increase the batch size, the cost per unit production will decrease, right? Because we are now producing more, economies of scale. After standardization, once you are set, you can keep on producing, right? So without any defect, that way you can ensure. But yes, then if you are producing extra to save that, to get the economies of scale, then you are spending extra to keep that extra inventory. So there is again trade-off between inventory you are keeping and the economies of scale you are getting by increasing the batch size, right? So bullwhip effect may be in the best example in markets, as when you are spending in the market, you are buying stocks online, right? So when everyone starts buying, the price is increasing, right? So then if you will start selling, so others are also feeling maybe now, because election results are going to be declared on 4th June, right? So then analysts, those market analysts, they are analyzing if this will happen, there will be again a rise in the stock price, so that means the demand is increasing when stock price is rising, and then demand will decrease, supply will be increased, stock price will fall down. So this is how it is working on market sentiments, right? So means again the bullwhip effect is there, right? If you are assessing maybe 5% change, your next player in the supply chain will assess it as 7%, next you will pass the information. Every time when we are passing the information, that means we have multi stages. So the many stages, long structure you will opt, so that means that bullwhip effect will be enhanced, right? So how much flat structure you can opt for your organization for sharing the information, the accurate information you will get. If directly, if something is happening in the market, if directly you are recording that without any bullwhip effect, that means that whatever customer is requiring, you can supply the exact product. Coming to the value chain, see, these are time to time I have talked about, but let us go in the structured way. These all are non-value adding activities and these are value adding activities. Having said that, I am not saying that these HR activities are not required. Financing, accounting activities, information technology. Information technology can be value adding, can be non-value adding. I will tell you the scenario, right? So these are those activities which are supporting your these actions. Like if I will talk about information technology, how you will develop the new product if you are not having information technology to tap the information coming from the market. So that means in that way, if this information technology is helping you to develop the new product, new feature, that means this is value adding activity. But if this information is helping you to keep the inventory level in the market at the safe inventory, then it is not going to add any value for the customer, right? So that means now it is a non-value adding activity. Finance, accounting will see one by one all these operations. New product development, see, if I am renovating my product, I am providing you new features, right? So that means these new features customer is directly getting the benefit. So this is value adding activity. Marketing and sales, see, if I am recording your requirement, what is marketing? I am recording your requirements and accordingly I am providing you the customized product and services. That means this is value adding activity. Then again, if I am providing you after selling the product, again I am coming up with the promotional offers and all that, and in a way educating you maybe how you can use that product, how you can after sale services also I am providing, right? So that is a kind of, or I am recording your feedback just to improve the services level, right? So then it is value adding activity. Operations, obviously core value adding activity, because here you are doing all those activities which are converting your raw material into your finished one, which is creating your space in the market, profit in the market, margins, fetching more customers, right? Distribution. Now distribution, earlier maybe distribution may not be the value adding activity for the customer when you are going to retailer and picking up the inventory, right? But now if distribution is doing the doorstep delivery, so that means it is a value adding activity for the customer. Customer doesn't have time to visit your retail shop. Customer don't want to carry all the packets, right? They want that it should be delivered at the doorstep. Then distribution is value adding activity because I am driving value out of that. Services, like I talked about after sale services, if I need some information related to how to install that, how to use that, something goes wrong with the functioning of that product, how quickly I can get the after sale services, how your customer care support is supporting all those points. Even if I am going for routine maintenance of that product, so then how you are ensuring that. Supporting activity, finance. Now the budgeting part, financial planning, investment planning, working capital management, how you will ensure the flow of the finance through the supply chain. Whatever you are doing, whether you are maintaining liquidity ratio or not, whether you are maintaining inventory, you are investing highly in inventory or technology or not, how as a customer I will get benefit out of that. So this financing, budgeting, all things you are doing just to keep running your organization. Budgeting is required so that you can meet the demand, you can purchase the orders, you can pay for those orders, and that part, right? So that means this is internal management of your organization. Customer is not going to get any value out of that. Accounting, again, if you are doing the audits are there. Why you are doing audits? How much inventory is there? So that you can keep the track of the inventory, that whether we are keeping extra inventory or the whatever is required. What are the assets available in the organization, whether we are utilizing or not. In that way, accounting is related with the assets as well. How we are keeping the transactions, right? When we are paying to our customer, all these things you are, sorry, not customer, when we are paying to our vendors, right? If 90 days, 60 days payment terms are there, when we are paying our customer. This all you are again maintaining your internal supply chain, nothing to do with the customer, right? Information technology, already I told you, it can be value adding, it can be non value adding. If you are managing information within the warehouse to ensure the proper stock rotation, to ensure that inventory should not go obsolete, then it is non value adding activity, right? Human resources, you keep on training, developing, whatever recruitment process, selection, everything, placement, induction is happening, that is just to keep running your organization. Whether you have today 500 workers or 1000 workers, I really don't care, as long as I am getting my product with whatever specifications you have designed. These are some of the factors we should consider when we are saying that the success of any supply chain. We'll go through quickly. Supply sense, how we can anticipate, understand and respond effectively. You need to sense the supply market, right? So having said that, that means now we need to take care of your supply sources, because your supply sources, raw material supplier, are not only supplying to your organization, they are supplying to maybe to your competitors, to some other industries as well. So you need to sense, maybe there will be your raw material suppliers may be stock out because of there is excess demand, or maybe other players are keeping the excess demand so that they can meet that excess demand coming from the market during that peak season, right? So in that way you have to sense the supply. Then after sensing, you need to respond. How quickly market conditions are changing. You have sensed that supply is also changing, right? So you need to manage with the vendors, not only with the quantity, with the quality, with the variety, with the different types of grade of material we are using, right? So all those you need to respond to the supply. Then deciding and committing. This is the part where now you have decided and you start implementing your whatever supply strategy you have fixed or demand strategy you have fixed, right? So you will go for various strategic options, you will set your priorities and make the informed decisions so that you can ensure the smooth supply and demand of the supply chain. So having said that, we want continuous demand, you need to generate demand, right? You need to sense the demand, whether the customer are shifting to my customer group or they are going to my competitor group. If so, why they are going to my competitor group? Oh, they are providing these many extra features, or maybe they have lowered down the price, or maybe they are providing some promotional offers, right? So in that way we need to understand that their preferences, we need to forecast the demand pattern and we need to align our supply chain activities as per that. And once we recorded the demand, we need to respond. We need to how you will respond to demand? You will start acquiring the raw material, you will start planning your production, scheduling, sequencing, everything you will do. How many models you are manufacturing, different models, how many units are required, inventory level you will set. Accordingly you will set up your and polish your distribution networks to ensure the fulfillment processes are happening on time and final end delivery can be done, right? So we can conclude here that success of supply chain, obviously how quickly you are sensing the market, right? And then it's not only one end you need to sense, your other end, the backward integration with your suppliers you need to sense, right? Because if supply is coming from them only, then you can meet the demand of the customer, right? And then we need to take care of all the impellers and the customer is empowered, but in that way the manufacturer is also empowered, right? Manufacturing is having all the access. If I'm just, I quoted one example, if I'm looking for one ticket, so see, I can get information from anywhere, but on the same time Indigo is also getting information, Make My Trip is also getting information that there is a need for ticket, I need to travel from Calcutta to Delhi. You see, if you will keep on searching, you will get targeted advertisement in your social media website. Whenever you will open, you will get that 5% down the price like this, and when you will actually start booking the ticket, then you will see there will be increase in the price, because they know that continuously you are tracking that. So both way, customer is also empowered and supplier is also empowered in that way, right? And then latest development in terms of sustainability, so that also we need to take care, because this now the coming era is we need to set up the sustainable supply chain, where we need not only to ensure the delivery of the final product, we need to ensure how after the use of that final product can be again utilized, right? So if I'm ensuring that through my supply chain, my customer will be more delighted, they will feel more satisfied, oh, this supply chain partner or this services provider is doing these kind of activities, let us go to him and get the services, right? So these all are references for your further reading. Thank you very much.